So imagine, if you will, fictional realm presided over by a king called Rex, and he decides that he was going to suspend all existing law or precedent, common law or existing legislation that has developed over millennia, and he was going to replace this with a new legal system. He's the Justinian of our time. So he's not a great writer, and he thinks that first he's going to try writing his code but keeping it to himself, and then adjudicating disputes as being himself the judge. That becomes somewhat of a problem for his citizens who complain and say, but without your law that you've now enacted being published, we cannot really adhere to it. So please publish it. So Rex understands this is obvious, and he decides, fair enough, here's my code. But then his subjects, who are expected to obey the law, discover that it is totally incomprehensible to them. It is written in High Latin, and he's presiding over a Germanic tribe, very problematic, can't work. And they're like, okay, please make it clearer. We can't obey the law if we cannot understand what it says. Rex obliges, and he says, fine, let's try making it clearer over a period of time, and every time you see something that's not clear, I'll enact a new rule. And so the code gets amended every few days, every few weeks. And then, of course, another problem arises. People start complaining, saying, what I'm doing now used to be legal. Suddenly it is illegal, and tomorrow it's going to be legal again. We can't keep changing the law like this. Make it clear for us and make it stay what you thought it should have been, and don't keep amending it. Fair enough, he says, and the amendments start fading away, as happens in real life. Amendments in any new legal system will become less frequent as the law stabilizes. And then finally, he has his new code, but people start noticing that they act in accordance with what the code says. But when they do certain things that seem to be allowed, the enforcers of Rex's law decide that it's simply not acceptable to them. For instance, there is a period where nothing is said about cooked hot food, but suddenly people start getting arrested for buying cooked hot food. And then afterwards, it gets declared illegal. So I think we can all see the problems here. This is from Lon Fuller's book, The Morality of Law, and these were 4 of the ways to fail to make law that Fuller identified. There are 4 more, and these 8, say, principles of the rule of law are the, I guess, the principles that give one an idea what the rule of law means. We often call it a doctrine or an institution, but really it's a description of a state of affairs, and it describes the opposite of what Rex did in his realm. So the rule of law requires clarity, it requires publication of the law, it requires stability within the law, and it requires a congruence, a consistency between what the law says and how it is enforced on the practical level.